Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We'll start off with baseball first this week. Patrick Riley, assistant coach at Winona State, joins us this week. And Patrick, thank you for joining us once again.
No problem.
You were on once before last year. Before we get into specifics of the games this past week, let's talk about your thoughts on the season so far. I know it's not what you expected, but how are things going?
Yeah, record-wise, it's been tough. I'm sure a lot of people see the record right away and say, hey, they're really struggling. But we had a really tough schedule to start the season. Coach Polk always seems to challenge the guys early on. We went down to Oklahoma, had a tough 3-game set down there, and then in Florida as well. We played actually all Florida schools except for, I guess, one from Texas. But very challenging schedule to start. And then, as you know, in all sports now in our conference, the conference is really tough. So the record's not the best, but the guys have done a really good job of staying positive, working hard, and we're looking forward to the final 20 games of the season.
Now, again, we'll get into specifics later, but this past week you split all of your series. Yep. So do you think the team is playing its best baseball of the season?
Definitely not. We're showing flashes. There are times where after the game I talk with Kyle and Matt O'Brien and Tyler Nearing, our other assistant, and say we're on track, and then the next game we come out and only have 3 or 4 hits and lose in a close 1 or 2 run game. So I don't think we're playing our best baseball. I think some individuals are starting to play their best baseball. We just need a couple more guys to get on board with that, at least from an offensive standpoint, and I think we'll hopefully continue to play well, but just get better as we get going too.
All right, before I forget to ask, I know that when we talked to you last season, you said that recruiting was one of the main focuses that you have on the team. With the early season travel, going to Oklahoma, going to Florida, and then playing at US Bank Stadium, does that kind of help with the recruiting to be able to tell players, hey, you know, we're not going to have the best weather right away to start the season, but we are going to go to these places you can still play baseball? Yeah,
it's definitely appealing. A lot of high school kids now, especially from the bigger metro areas, they actually go down south too, whether it's Florida or the Carolinas. So they're high school kids, and especially the travel ball kids, are used to the travel aspect of baseball now. So going to Florida, going to Texas like we have actually 2 years ago now, going down south definitely does help. Playing up at US Bank Stadium definitely helps from a recruiting standpoint, just because we can see those kids that we're recruiting from the Twin Cities in a different venue. We're not watching them play, we're not going to their basketball or football games, but they can come and watch us play. And it kind of creates just a better relationship because you get to see them one more time before they decide where they're going to school. You
mentioned Texas. You played at Minden Bay Park, and of course, just mentioned US Bank. Does it kind of help that you're playing in those kind of big-time venues then?
Yeah, it's definitely cool. You can see the kids' eyes light up with their 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids that come in. They really think something like that's cool. And once you're on campus and get to do that, our guys that got to go down and play at Minute Maid, they still talk about it. It's just a cool experience for the guys.
What were your thoughts of playing at US Bank Stadium? What was that field condition like?
Way better than the Metrodome, actually, I thought. Back in the day, the Metrodome, they would turn some of the lights off just to save money. They kept all the lights on. Actually, Minnesota played Missouri State right before us. They left all the lights on. The only thing they turned off was the scoreboard, the big scoreboard. So the playing surface was nice. The dugouts are a little different. They just kind of dropped some, they're almost like semi-trailers. They dropped in there and put a fence on the front. But the playing surface was very, very nice. But we did play at, I think it was 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., so that's always tough. But the playing surface was nice, and anytime you're playing inside in Minnesota that time of year, it's going to be nicer than playing outside, that's for sure.
What were your thoughts on the second game going long, and then you didn't get done until 3:30 in the morning?
Yeah, we had to, I think, add on another like 45 minutes or so it cost a little bit more money. But it was worth it. It was a long night, long morning. And then luckily we had some time where we could take a day off. But it was at the end of our Florida trip as well, so our guys were a little banged up and a little tired from playing so many games in such a short amount of time.
All right, let's back up and talk about the games from last week. When we left off with Coach Polk, you hadn't yet played Wayne State, and so kind of recap those games at Wayne State.
Yeah, played Wayne, lost the first one, got a little bit out of hand. I think we ended up losing like 11-3, 11-4, something like that. Lucas Crimmins pitched really well the first 2-3 innings, and then it just kind of got sloppy. Started walking some guys. I'll give them credit, they hit really well. So that first game was just a tough one, but our guys rebounded really well, played a great second game. We had a freshman that threw, Tanner Hazley, from Kimberly, Wisconsin. He threw for us and threw really, really well. And then Jesus Casares had a big day at the plate with some RBIs. It was not the best weather. It started raining in the second game and got a little cold. We got pretty much everything when we were there in Wayne. We got sun, we got cloudy, we had rain, we had wind. But that's kind of what you expect when you go to Wayne. You never know weather-wise what you're going to get out there.
And then Parker Holmstrom came on in the second game, and he pitched really well that, and then that kind of carried over after that.
Yeah, that's the best I've seen Parker throw. I don't know the exact amount of off-speed pitches he threw, but I bet it was less than 5. He was just throwing fastballs right by guys. So it's good to see him just get on the mound and say, hey, here's my best pitch, see if you can hit it or not. And he competed really, really well. We're going to need him to continue to throw well for us to be successful the rest of the year.
And then it was Sioux Falls, and there was some weather concerns for Sioux Falls, so those games had to be moved up. Okay. So what does that do to the team when you have to move up a day to play?
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't know how our guys do it sometimes. Luckily, Friday classes are a little lighter than other days of the week. It's tougher to move a game to Sunday, Monday than it is to Friday, Saturday, just because our guys have a lot of Monday classes. The hardest part was finding hotels. We actually didn't even stay in Sioux Falls. We stayed in Brandon, South Dakota, just east of Sioux Falls, but got the games moved up. It ended up working out fine, but it was better playing on Friday, Saturday because our guys got Sunday off that way too, so it ended up being very nice.
Friday games were close, lost 3-2, kind of a heartbreaker in that one, and then 9-7 in the second game you got the win. Yeah,
the first one was really tough. Salzburg threw really well. A couple calls didn't go his way. That's just how it is sometimes. But the second game was a very good game. We came at bat a little bit better, hit much better in the second game, and just continued plugging away at it and had a nice rebound win in game 2.
And then kind of the same thing in the next day. 7-6 was the loss in the first game, and then second game came back in that one. So kind of overall, what was the feeling coming out of Sioux Falls?
Anytime you split, it's always like good, but still you feel like you could have done better. Game 3 of the series, the game we lost, 7-6, we had a comeback in the top of the 7th, I believe it was. That was one of the more fun comebacks I've ever been a part of, even as a player. But did a really, really good job of getting ahead in that game. Unfortunately, I'll give the kid credit for them. Matt Minnick, their 4-hitter, hit a home run to tie it up. And then they came back with a kind of a safety squeeze to win it. So that was tough, but it was great to see our guys respond. We went up, I think, by 11 at one time. So we had control of the game. But yeah, anytime you're done with the weekend and you have 2 wins and 2 losses, it's kind of like, it's good, but you feel like there's more out there you could have got.
All right, well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Will Lundquist will join us right after this.
Ever wish you could just swing by the local office to pay your bill quickly rather than calling a toll-free number and speaking to a machine? When you join the HBC family, you get that and so much more with local office locations and customer care. Whether you have general questions or would like to upgrade your services, HBC is here in your community, providing an unrivaled, personalized experience. Switching is easy and installation is free, and we're so sure you'll love HBC, we offer a 30-day guarantee. Visit hbci.com to learn more or call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference.
I play because this is my destiny.
Finish to this match. What a shot!
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. Will Lundquist joins us, senior pitcher for Winona State. And let's talk a little bit about last season, the fact that you didn't get to play at all last season. You told me it was a kind of shoulder labrum tear injury. Talk about what happened to get the injury and how you came back from that.
Well, so I threw quite a bit of innings in my junior year and threw quite a bit in the summer. So just overuse kind of led to the injury. And so sitting out a season, which is kind of different because I've never had to have that happen in sports. I've always been playing every day. And so it was definitely interesting to have a different role on the team.
Okay. What were some of the things that you had to do then to rehab that injury and to get ready for this year?
A lot of work with our trainer, Brandon Donahue. A lot of just shoulder exercises. The first month was basically him lifting up my arm for me and stretching it out and all those exercises, and I still have to do them every day now to keep it strong and healthy so I can be able to pitch now.
How do you feel now? I mean, do you feel any different than you did prior to the injury?
I can tell there's, I've lost some strength and some mobility and some velocity on my pitches, but I've been able to figure out ways working around that to still do the job.
All right. And so, Coach, when a player goes down with an injury and they have to miss a season, how do you kind of make them still feel part of the team even though they can't get out there and play?
Yeah, it's tough, especially with as much as we practice and much as we play. It's pretty much you go from playing in high school where it's 3 months to almost a year-round job for you at the college level. But Will's done a good job with it of just being a really good teammate. From a knowledge standpoint, Will's probably one of the smartest baseball guys on our team. So he did a really good job last year just keeping guys in the game, keeping them up mentally, talking to them about situational baseball, what should we be doing, those type of things. But yeah, anytime you have to watch it from the sidelines instead of actually play, it's tough to do, and it's interesting to see how guys respond to that, and I thought Will did a good job.
Well, in doing some research on you, I saw an article that the Star Tribune had on you back in 2012, and you told them that you've been playing baseball since you were 3 or 4. That's kind of when it started. So with that kind of history behind you, I mean, what did you do last season to kind of help the team and keep your mind fresh and get ready for this year?
Like Coach Riley said, I just try to talk with the guys, especially the young guys, if something wasn't going right, what I did in those situations, different pitch grips, different exercises I did, mental preparation before games to try and help them out and just try and get them to succeed in different ways.
Now, since it's been a while since that article came out, you might have forgotten a little bit about it, but I got to point out that the title to the article is probably one of the best that I think I've ever heard. I think you remember it now.
I do.
Hesitate and You're Mine. That was the title of the article. What did you think when you saw that come out?
I kind of laughed a little bit with my dad. The headline came from one of the questions that was asked, and I responded that when I see somebody kind of looking timid coming to the plate or walking up or they don't look too confident, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get this guy out. And so that's where he got the headline.
Very good.
Writer.
At Lakeville South, you had the school record for wins, most strikeouts in a game, and lowest ERA in a season. What are some of the things that stand out for you playing at Lakeville South?
Well, it's the biggest thing that I got from playing at Lakeville South is just kind of, having that tradition of, now I can go back and people see me and I can go visit my old coaches and work with them at practice, and I actually coach for them in the summer. So it's just kind of nice to be a part of the tradition that we kind of started when I played.
All right. And were you the coach that kind of recruited Will?
Yeah, I saw him the most. Coach Polk knew him as well, obviously with the numbers that you just said. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to not know about a kid like that in the Twin Cities area. It's even nicer that it was in the South Metro, so not too far from Winona. But yeah, he pitched in some really big games too, and won some games that typically Lakeville South hadn't won in the past. Beating teams that kind of just your perennial powerhouses in the Twin Cities. So seeing that kind of stuff was definitely appealing. We knew if he could pitch at the highest level in high school baseball, he'd do well here, and he has.
All right. Well, we have a tradition of kind of asking a crazy question at the end, and this crazy question comes from that article. They asked you, what do you do to get focused for a game? And your answer was you take a nice jacuzzi bubble bath and listen to some music. Is that still your routine?
Unfortunately, our bathtub is not the cleanest, so I am not able to take that bubble bath anymore, but I do suggest it to everybody that I get the mind right and focus.
All right, very good. Thank you for joining us here today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off. When we come back, we'll talk Warriors softball. That's right after this.
NASCAR racing is about a whole lot more than just cars going around a track. It's about people who drive, people who engineer, people who plan, people who know how to put it all together. Meet the people who make the cars go round every week on Raceline. Watch Raceline here every week.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk Off here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk softball with head coach Greg Jones. And it's kind of getting hard to ask questions of you because I'm not sure exactly what to ask. You won now 14 consecutive games coming into this week. You won your 30th game of the season over the weekend, 17th straight year that Winona State has won 30 or more games in a season. Prior to you becoming a coach, there had only been one 30-win season coming in. When you hear those kind of numbers, and I could go on and on with that, what do you think when you hear those numbers?
I guess I don't know half of them. I just try really hard not to pay attention to a lot of the numbers. You know, our kids are working hard. They're playing well right now. They're playing together right now. The chemistry's strong. They believe in themselves. We've got a real tough stretch coming up that'll go a long way in kind of determining where we end at the end of the year. But so far I don't know that we've underperformed or overperformed our expectation. We just kind of go out there and literally, as cliche as it sounds, try to win the game we're on, and we've been able to do that now 14 straight times.
All right, well, your career record, in case you haven't known, 681 wins, 242 losses. It's 738 winning percentage. That's just incredible. You're 23rd among the active coaches in NCAA Division II, 44th all time. What's your reaction to that?
I certainly didn't know those numbers. Well, again, it's still a testament to how many quality kids we've brought in this program. And I inherited a program that the cupboards weren't empty. You know, we have now 3 kids in the WSU Hall of Fame that were here when I got here. And it was just kind of a matter of trying to get them to believe in winning and believe that the program could win and to believe in themselves a little bit and create a culture. And we talk a lot about culture and maintaining that culture of passion and energy and pride and understanding the history and playing with each other. And so we've had a lot of great coaches. We've had a lot of great kids. We've had great administrative support. And so apparently it's worked for a lot of quality numbers.
All right. Well, we do have to talk about one more of your great kids, and that's Jordan Clement. Threw a no-hitter this weekend, almost had 2. Yeah. He only gave up 1 hit in the other game. A freshman, in all the history that you've had at Winona State, and I know you've had a lot of really great pitchers, at this point in her career, where does she rank when those pitchers were freshmen?
Well, it's hard to compare her to where those kids ended, but where she is now, if you just put it in a vacuum, where Joe is as a freshman versus where all these other kids were as freshmen, she'd be ahead of all of them. You know, where she ultimately ends up will somewhat be up to Joe, and how much work she continues to put in it. She's had a great start. We love where Joe's at. Obviously, you would just be picking at it to find things wrong with it. But she's got some development yet to do. But where she is now in a vacuum compared to all the success we've had, Cindy would probably be the only one that compares. I wasn't here when Cindy was a freshman. I inherited Cindy as a junior, but I know Cindy won the conference tournament as a freshman and did some great things and put up some great numbers that way. But Stacy and some of those kids that were elite for us didn't pitch as freshmen very much.
Right, and you had talked about that in previous weeks. Jordan is just the 4th Warrior pitcher to have more than 1 no-hitter in her career. Courtney Strang and Stacy Straczynski both had 5, and of course Hannah Lithberg had 2 last season. One more number that I got to ask you about, because you can probably claim some credit on that. Prior to you becoming a head coach at Winona State, there were just 2 no-hitters thrown in school history. You've had 19 during your tenure. Is that you? Is that Cindy? What is that?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. You know, Cindy came on board in '03 and as the pitching coach, and then she was gone for a 3-year stretch in there as we were having kids and family and things of that nature. But has been our pitching coach for the largest part of this, and she does a phenomenal job with it. What Cindy does so well is connect with the kids on a very personal level, and she can have conversations with those kids that I truly can't have. That she tells me things that she says to them, and I'm like, oh, okay. And she's very direct with them, but they have a great relationship with each other, and it's a great support network with each other that they have. And she's great at teaching the game as well. And Cindy gets 99% of that credit for where those kids are at this point. All I have to do is pick which one to use on game day.
All right, very good. Well, let's back up and talk about the Wayne State game, I think that happened right after we recorded
Yes.
last week. So you had 16 runs in the first game, won 16-6, and then you came from behind in the second game to win 7-4. What stood out in those games?
I thought the first game, the best part of the first game, that 16-6 game, I thought we lost our composure. We were up early, up big early, and some calls didn't go our way, some plays didn't go our way. We got a little sloppy, and suddenly we were still up 4. But we kind of came into the dugout like we were down 4, and we were kind of snipping at each other, and we just lost a little bit of composure. And Joe had struggled on the mound, and so we recovered. We came right back and put up 6 runs, and I thought that was really great sign of maturity for us, and that was to me the biggest part of the whole day, actually.
So if you don't mind me asking, what do you do to get your team back on track when something like that happens?
You rely on your leadership. You rely on Allie as a senior who's been through the wars. You rely on your juniors now who are learning that leadership role. I said maybe 3-4 words to them, about mental toughness, get yourself refocused, take a deep breath, and go from there. And then I went out to third base, and the rest is kind of up to them. And they have to know when to push and when to back off, because more yelling isn't going to fix it. Come on, guys, isn't going to get it done. It's sometimes by example. It's sometimes more calming than pushing. And again, I think our kids are learning where those lines are. But for the most part, it's kind of on them at that point.
I guess Allison knows what one of the questions is going to be when she comes on
Yes.
as a guest in just a couple minutes. Then on Saturday, didn't give up a run to Minnesota Crookston, 10-0, 9-0 in those games. What stood out in those games?
Again, pitching. I thought we pitched extremely well that day. I thought that was probably the best day we've thrown collectively in a long time. And everybody, we used 3 pitchers, and Jade only threw for 1 inning. But Jill was really on her game, and so was Ken. I thought I was just leaving the game. Obviously, we scored some runs, which was great, but I think we could have played all day. They weren't going to score. I thought we pitched that well.
Well, you're definitely on track now, because then on Sunday, yesterday, 9-1 and 9-0 were the games. What stood out in those?
Well, a little bit of a surprise. Bemidji's got a really good thrower, and one of the tops in the league. One of the top 2 pitchers, maybe 3 pitchers in the league, and she didn't pitch. But we did a great job taking advantage of that. She had thrown 2 games the day before, had a bad elbow, and they decided to rest her. They've got a lot of games coming up too, and we took advantage of it. And again, McKenna didn't pitch well yesterday, but only gave up 1 run, so it's hard to be critical of her. She just didn't have her good stuff, and they hit her pretty hard early. But we turned 3 double plays in 1 game, 4 on the day, and that in softball that just doesn't happen. And we continue to make great plays behind her defensively. We got big hits when we had to. And then Joe throws the no-hitter in game 2. And again, talking about numbers, I had no idea it was a no-hitter until the coaches told me after the game. And a lot of times I'm kind of in tune to that. I wasn't yesterday at all. I had no idea. We were walking to the team huddle after the game, and Coach Tischer told me, it was a no-hitter, don't you? I was like, and I looked at it and I said, no, it wasn't. He said, yeah. He said, she walked 3, but it was a no-hitter.
Right.
Well, I'll have to go compliment her then. So.
All right, well, we're going to take a break on that. And when we come back, Allison O'Haron will join us right after this.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
This is as good as there is. He got it. Here comes Harper. Got him. What a play. Incredible. Through and they got him. That kid is unbelievable. Now, game over.
Everything you love about baseball is on FS1.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. Allison O'Haron joins us. Thanks for joining us here today. Well, you heard Coach Jones talk about it. You're only senior on the team. I heard that there is maybe some talking going on in the dugout in that 1 game. What do you do to kind of help stop that?
My teammates make it pretty easy to be a leader on the team. We've got a lot of good kids, and we've got a lot of younger girls that take it upon themselves to be leaders. So my job is pretty easy being a leader. I usually just have to bring them back down into their own heads. Like sometimes, people get too flustered and stuff like that. So usually it's just a matter of saying like, you're okay, it's fine, we're good, and keep working from here. So like I said, my teammates make it pretty easy to be a good leader.
Now, when you were here last year, you talked about the fact that you knew you were going to be the only senior coming back, and you weren't sure exactly how that was going to go.
Right.
How's it gone this season being the only senior?
Honestly, so much better than expected. This has been one of my favorite years yet, and it's a year that I didn't think that I was going to enjoy a whole lot, not because of anybody else but myself, but it's been one of my favorite years. Like I said, my teammates are awesome. I love pretty much every single one of them. Not pretty much, I do love every single one of them. And so, like I said, they've made the year great, and they're just so fun to be around, and we're doing well, so it's pretty easy to have a good time when you're doing so well. So my teammates have made a really good time.
All right. Now, Coach, you've talked before about how you try to cycle in players, maybe not pitchers as freshmen, but this year's the exception to that. So everybody has kind of experience. Is it difficult to have just one senior on the team this year?
No, because ultimately, to me, it's not about where they, I always say that freshman, sophomore, junior, senior are academic words. That just tells me how long they've been in school and how long they have till they graduate. Doesn't say much about talent. What's challenging about the senior piece is we rely a lot on senior leadership and experience. Where now this year we've had to do that with our junior class and bring them into that piece too, because what I didn't want ever was for Allison to feel like she was on an island, and I didn't want her to stand out from the rest of them in any way, good or bad. I didn't want to put that on her, nor did I want to put it on the rest of the team. So it's kind of been a blended experience about trying to figure that out and how to do it that way.
All right, well, I'm going to get your thoughts on this next question, but first with Allison. You're listed as a shortstop third baseman, but in 2015 you're the primary second baseman. This year you play first base. Talk about playing all those different positions. I mean, have you played a lot of first base? Was that just kind of thrown on you this year?
It was kind of thrown on me last year, actually. I was in Coach's office for some reason. I don't really remember why, but he gave me a first baseman, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you try this out?" And I was like, "Me? You want me to try it out?" So no, I never played first base before, but and like I said, in high school I played shortstop. But I always say I like to play on the field. I don't really care where I play. So whatever team needs, I guess. I don't know. I've actually really enjoyed it.
So what was your thought of putting Allison at first base this year?
Allison wants to pitch, but we're not going to let her.
I would love
to. Even when we recruit, we talk about not wanting kids that play positions. I don't need a first baseman, I need a softball player. I don't need a shortstop, I need a softball player. Because everybody on this team is good, and so it's a matter of where do they all fit. And I remember when Morgan graduated, and everybody kept saying, "Who's going to play first base, Coach? Who's going to play first base? Morgan's been so good." And I kept telling people, "Allie." Really? Yeah. But Allie came in as a walk-on, as a freshman. It was a shortstop. And she ended up starting by she played a little bit early in the dome in bits and pieces. And then we got to Florida, and she started the first game in Florida because of an injury. And you talk about the old Wally Pipp disease, nobody else got on the field. Nice. She's basically started every game of her career since then. And she just kind of owns the position. Wherever she goes, she looks like that's the position she's played her whole life.
Wow, very good. Last question that we have here. Warriors Got Talent this year. You were the co-MC. We had Joe on last week. How did it go for you?
It went pretty well. Joe's a great friend that I'm probably going to kill someday. But yeah, I don't know why, but he decided on Facebook that he was going to make a post that said that I was going to do an interpretive dance to the song 1,000 Miles. Not something I agreed to. This wasn't like a bet. He just decided that this was something he was going to do. And Joe, being the person that he is, of course, he achieved his goal. And I didn't do it. And then we were asked to host the show together. And I said yes. And then I had no idea that it was coming. It was right after my team had done their performance. And then Joe started talking. And then he said something about me dancing. I was like, oh my God, he didn't. He didn't do it. And then there was no way to get out of it because all these people were sitting here watching me. What was I going to do? So I had to do it. And yeah, like I said, he's a really, really great friend.
All right, so do you have anything to say to him here as we end?
I can't even, it's probably not appropriate for TV.
Okay.
No, I don't.
All right, well, thank you for joining us this week, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walk Up. We'll see you next time here on HBC TV 25.